Hello students, under Algebra and Number Theory, we are now into Unit 5. So the title of Unit 5 is Classical Theorems and Multiplicative Functions. So earlier, under Unit 1 and 2, we had discussed about algebra. So we had studied about groups, rings, etc. And under Unit 3, 4, 5 was entirely under number theory. We had linear congruences, Diophantine equations, etc. So now finally we have reached Unit 5. So we are going to go for classical theorems and multiplicative functions. We are in lecture 1. So in lecture 1 I would like to discuss the Wilson theorem. Before getting on to the Wilson theorem, let's have a small introduction about the unit. What are we going to study in this unit? So let's get into the PPT. So let's have the introduction. So basically in this unit, we will be having three named theorems named after great mathematicians. Wilson theorem, Fermat's theorem and Euler's theorem. So the underlying objective of this entire unit lies on this three theorems, Euler, Fermat's and Wilson theorems. These three theorems actually relate to congruences and multiplicative aspects of congruences. So you're already familiar with what is a linear congruence equation. In the previous unit you would have studied Chinese remainder theorem. So this will be an extension of that, and so we can have the factorial functions, the power functions, etc. And apart from these three theorems, we will also be studying the multiplicative inverses named as tau function, sigma function and phi functions. So phi functions basically follow Euler functions. Okay. So now let's get on to the next slide. So let's have the overview of what is who is Wilson. So John Wilson, during the year 1741 to 1793, he was a British mathematician. He was also a senior wrangler and also a judge. So he is not only a mathematician, he was also a judge. What do you mean by senior wrangler? Senior wrangler is nowadays if I'm going to relate it, I can relate it to a person who is securing distinction, the topper of the class or topper of the university. So he was the topper. So he is well best known for Wilson's theorem. So Wilson's theorem deals congruences of factorial functions. So you should always remember, whenever you have factorial functions, you can apply Wilson theorem. So this Wilson, because of this speciality factorial functions, it stands out of the other two theorems. So now in this presentation, I'm going to state and prove Wilson theorem, which is the most important theorem in this unit. But before getting on to the Wilson theorem, I need a help hand from a lemma. So first I need to state and prove a lemma, and then using the lemma result, I will be applying it in my Wilson theorem. So let's start the statement of lemma. A positive integer a is self-invertible modulo p if and only if a is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod p. Now, what do you mean by if and only if statement? If and only if statement relates to, first I can take this statement and I have to assume this statement and I have to prove my latter part, and further in the second case I will assume the latter part and I will try to prove the former part. This is what if and only if statement means in mathematics. So first let me take the former part, assume the former part and try to prove the latter part here, and in the second case vice versa. So let's start the proof now. Suppose a is self-invertible modulo P, then A square is congruent to 1 mod P. By the result of self-invertible modulo P, we have A square is congruent to 1 mod P, which implies, so you know what is modulo division. P divides A square minus 1, which further implies, you know what is A square minus 1. Therefore, P divides A minus 1 or P divides A plus 1, either of this case. So, if this is going to be the category, A can be congruent to 1 mod P or A can be congruent to minus 1 mod P. From these two cases, when I write A minus 1 or A plus 1, these are the two things I will arrive at. So, A is also congruent to 1 mod P or A is also congruent to minus 1 mod P. So, from these two equations, I can say that A is congruent to both minus 1 and plus 1. So, can I combine these two equations and put it as one single equation? Yes, I can. So, then I can write it as A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P. So, together minus 1 and plus 1, I'll combine it and I'll write it as plus or minus 1 mod P. Hence, the first part of my proof for the lemma is done. That is, I had taken a positive integer A, which is self-invertible modulo. Then I had proved it as arrived as A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P. So, now what will I do in the second case? Now, I will take up this second one. That is the latter part. Now, let me assume A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P, and then I will try to prove that positive integer A is a self-invertible modulo. This is what is going to be my next slide. So, lemma proof continued. So, conversely, this is how I say, conversely, suppose A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P by theorem. Okay. If A is congruent to B mod M, then A power n is congruent to B power n mod m. So, if this is the category, then I can raise it to the power and those things are also equal. This is what the theorem says. Now, let me take this equation. A is congruent to B mod m. So, whatever may be the power I am raising it to, it should be a common power on both sides. If I am going to raise it to the power 2, on the right also it should be raised to the power 2. Both should be equal. That's why n should be equal. So now, as we have assumed A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P, I am going to raise the power of A to square. That is 2. A square is congruent to plus or minus 1 the whole square mod P. Now, A square congruent to, what is plus or minus 1 the whole square? Which means 1 is having two values, plus 1 and minus 1. If I am going to square plus 1, I will be getting plus 1. If I am going to square minus 1, again I am going to get plus 1 only. So, in either of these cases, I will be landing up with a positive 1. So, instead of writing plus or minus 1 the whole square, can't I write it as just 1? So, that is why the representation has changed here. So, therefore, A square is congruent to 1 mod P. So, now the result as proved. Now, what can I say from this? Hence, a positive integer A is self-invertible modulo. So, this is how the proof I had taken up. So, the lemma of the proof of the lemma is very easy. First, we have to assume A is self-invertible and try to prove A is congruent to plus or minus 1 mod P and vice versa. So, now let's get on to the actual statement of Wilson theorem. So, if P is prime, then P minus 1 factorial is congruent to minus 1 mod P. This is the statement of Wilson theorem. So, P should be a prime number. So, always remember, P is a prime number. We can use the Wilson theorem provided we have a factorial congruence. Now, let's have the proof. Case 1. Let P is equal to 2. So, we are going to start the proof by substituting the value of P to be 2. Why can't it be 1? So if I substitute 1, it is going to be 1 minus 1 is going to be 0 factorial. So we start from 2. So then p minus 1 factorial is equal to 2 minus 1. So which is going to be 1 factorial, which is 1. So automatic my result is very obvious. So for 1 we can write it as congruent symbol to minus 1 mod 2. So the theorem is true for p is equal to 2. Now in case 2 we will be proving, now let p is greater than 2. So for greater than 2, the least positive residues modulos of p are 1, 2, 3 and so on p minus 1. So least positive residues of modulo. By lemma, 1 and p minus 1 are also self-invertible in modulo p. So what is self-invertible? 1 into p minus 1 is congruent to modulo p. This is what they are going to define what is a self-invertible. Grouping the remaining residues. So how many residues we have? We have 1 to p minus 1. Now what are they saying? The 1 and p minus 1 are self-invertible modulo. So what are the left out residues? The left out residues are 2, 3, so on, and the number before p minus 1 is p minus 2. Are again paired invertible. We have 1 cross 2 cross 3 cross so on p minus 1 is congruent to 1 cross. So we are grouping it actually. 2 cross 3 cross so on p minus 1 cross p minus 1 mod p, and 1 cross 1 cross 1 cross 1 cross minus 1 mod p, because they are self-invertible. So automatically, so what am I getting? The entire product will be related to minus 1. So p minus 1, this is now, how will I write a factorial number? 5 factorial can be written as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The same way 1 plus 1 into 2 into 3 into so on p minus 1 can be written as p minus 1 factorial, and the right hand side consists of minus 1 of mod p, hence the proof. So this is the proof of Euler's theorem. So the entire gist of the lecture 1 is completed. So we have seen the introduction of the unit and also the Euler's statement along with the proof. So we can also use Wilson theorem in this category. So p minus 1 factorial is congruent to minus 1 mod p. So we can rewrite it as p minus 1 the whole factorial plus 1 is congruent to 0 mod p, which means p divides p minus 1 factorial plus 1. This is an important result, so make a note of it. So by using Wilson theorem, we can relate it to factorial number plus 1. That number also can be done. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and let's continue in the second video lecture.